Hi everyone, so today I thought I'd do a video about like the pros and cons of using Duolingo. Now, if you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know I've been using Duolingo to learn Italian for, must be about 9 months now. Around about 9 months-ish anyway. For learning Italian, I've literally only been using Duolingo. I've not used any other resource. So I thought I would make a video about what I kind of think the good things and the bad things about Duolingo are. So I've done a few updates so far about how much progress I've made using Duolingo, but I've not necessarily said what I've found particularly good or particularly bad about using it. So I'm going to go through a few of those things now. So one of the first main positives is that it's free. Now, it's great because it's easily accessible to everyone that way. There is like a paid and a pro version, which you do get some like extra things, but it's more that you have more lives rather than extra resources on Duolingo. So everything on the app is free, so it makes it great for everybody to use, easily accessible. It can be quite expensive when you're trying to buy a ton of books to learn a language, so Duolingo completely helps with that, so everything is free. So that's definitely one big pro of using Duolingo. Another thing is that it can be quite fun, you know, it's quite game-like, the style is quite like a game, so it's like different levels and you have like a street for every day you use it. There's like a leaderboard, you can add your friends on there, you can make it a competition, so it's quite motivating in that way and it can make it quite fun. The games on it are very fun to use, but yeah, it just feels, it can feel quite a lot more fun than sitting down with a textbook. Another good thing about it, which I do find fun and motivating as well, is that you get like the daily reminders. This can be really helpful because I could be in the middle of doing something or like watching a TV program, and then all of a sudden I get a notification on my phone up like, we miss you, or you need to do today's lesson to hit such and such day streak, and I could have completely forgotten, and then I can easily just pick my phone up, do the lesson, and in 5 minutes I'm done with like one lesson. Often I'll do more than one, but you know, it's very easy to keep going every day, whereas sometimes if you're learning from like a textbook, it's very easy to just not pick it up because you've got to get everything out, whereas Duolingo being on your phone, you could even, quite often I'm already on my phone and then I'll get the notification or it'll be next to me, so it's just easy to do and very motivating, being reminded to do your lesson all the time. Another thing that I do really like about Duolingo as well is there is so many different languages you can learn. So you've got the quite common ones that English speakers will learn, like French, Spanish, you know, Chinese, things like that. They're quite common. But then you've also got some uncommon ones that, you know, you can't really find on any other apps. I also use Lingo Deer as well, and they do have quite a few languages, but they have nowhere near as many as Duolingo. So I think the wide language base is something that's really good about Duolingo, that if you're learning a language that isn't as common for people to learn, you might not be able to find it on other apps, but you may be able to get it on Duolingo, which can be really helpful if you like learning on an app. So that could be a reason potentially to use Duolingo. I also really like the way that it's set out, so like you've got the multiple choice questions, the speaking questions, the ones where you write it down, and then you've got the stories as well. This can be really helpful to like use different skills and techniques to learn and reinforce phrases, which might be harder if you're learning from just a textbook and you're just writing down word for word over and over again. So using these different like techniques and different ways of reinforcing the phrases or words you're learning can be quite useful to make sure that you memorize them. Another thing that I do find really helpful as well is that the phrases are spoken out. The phrases are spoken out loud. This can be particularly helpful if it's a language that doesn't use your specific alphabet and you're near the beginning of your language learning process because you're not aware of how things are pronounced. I mean, even in general, I still find it really useful because I'm never 100% sure. So hearing a speaker speak the phrases so you can hear the pronunciation is super helpful. The other thing as well is I like that you can redo the lessons and the exercises to help reinforce the words and phrases that you've learned. This can, you know, you normally have like a few lessons per level, and then you have like 5 levels I think it is, and then like a master sort of level, and then once you've done that master level it cracks after a certain length of time, so you have to redo it. so that's a great way to keep it in your head. I find that often when I'm learning a language, I'll learn something once and then leave it, forget about it, and then I'll come back and I can't remember what it was I learned. So I think this is a really good way to keep things fresh in your mind for a long time. I didn't realise they did this until I like scrolled up and saw that the ones at the top had cracked, and they were like, I think they're yellow or blue, and then they go all cracked, so you have to redo them. But I think that's a really good idea and I find that really helpful. So some of the things I don't like about Duolingo is I find that the phrases can often be fairly random and not very helpful. So there are often phrases that I would never use in my daily life, or if I wanted to go to Italy, I find that a lot of the things I had learned I wouldn't potentially be able to use because it's not very helpful. So I don't think necessarily the vocab might be useful, but the way that they put the sentences together may not be useful for beginners. Specifically just that the sentences that you don't necessarily need, which at the beginning I kind of like to learn phrases and sentences that I'm going to use regularly, which I don't think Duolingo particularly does well. Now, one of the other things that I don't particularly like about it, but I can understand why they've done it, is that the topics are locked until you get to like that part. Now, I can understand why they've done this so you do it in order, but that might not necessarily be helpful for what you need to learn or what you want to learn. So you can't like pick and choose which topics you want to do. So I think that would be helpful to be able to pick and choose potentially, or have more at a time. I don't know exactly how they would do that. So if you wanted to learn a specific thing, this can be really hard to do on Duolingo because you have to basically unlock it. So you have to have got to level 1 on every single topic before your specific topic you want to learn before you can start it. So that could take ages if it's in multiple units down. So yeah, it's not particularly good if you want to learn a certain topic. If you just wanted to learn bits and pieces of everything, that's different, but some people might want to learn just a specific thing. Then it's not really very helpful. The other thing as well is if you're wanting to be fluent, you're never going to get fluent just using Duolingo. You could potentially use it as a supplement to your other learning, but you'll never get fluent just by using Duolingo. So it depends how quickly you're wanting to learn and where you're wanting to take your language learning to, if Duolingo will be a good resource for you. So they're just like some of the pros and cons of Duolingo. I personally really love Duolingo. I don't use it so much for languages that I am taking seriously. I use it a little bit just for fun. If I can't really be able to sit down and spend an hour or something studying, I'll just do like a few lessons on Duolingo because it's much easier. I am using it just for Italian though, but I'm not learning Italian for any specific reason. It's just for fun. So I don't feel the need to become fluent or learn loads really quickly. So that's not really important to me for that. But if you are wanting to become fluent, it's not very good. So I would never stop using my other resources for the languages that I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn not to a fluent level, but to a conversational level. I wouldn't just use Duolingo for, but I think it's great to add on to your other language studies. So I think it can be really helpful for people that just want to have fun with language learning, aren't really taking it very seriously, aren't really bothered about being fluent. It's great for those kind of people, and also for people that don't have much time. So if you don't have much time, it probably would be a great idea to just download Duolingo. But I personally do think it is worth it just to add on to your language learning in general. You know, just 5-10 minutes every day, just add it on to what you would normally study. But yeah, so I personally think it's worth it. I know a lot of people don't. There are other apps as well, so if you try Duolingo and you're not a huge fan of it, some other apps you could look at is Lingodeer, which I do also use, which I really like. The other one is Busuu. I've never used that app before, but I've heard quite good things about it, so it might be a potential to look at that one if you've tried Duolingo and aren't a huge fan. The only thing with those two apps is you do have to pay for them, and there is no free version. So Duolingo is good because of the free version, but if you don't like it, you can always try other ones. So they're just my current thoughts on Duolingo. Do you use Duolingo or any other language learning apps, or are you thinking about trying it? I would love to know in the comments below. And thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!